G'day beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going over Dekker's stats for scaling her ability set and quick look at two builds that I have for her. One I have showcased not too long ago and one I have not. So hope you enjoy. Here we go. Alright, starting off, Dekker is a Guardian, Controller, Zoner, and Elusive. She's a range growth auto hero with a 1 for basic attack power, 6 for ability attack power, 4 for durability, and 6 for mobility. Definitely agree with Guardian and Controller and Zoner, but Elusive, I'm not too sure. Just having a little rocket boot set and a potential slow is enough to gain Elusive, but it's there, so we'll just accept it. She's not in the greatest place at the moment, not because she needs a buff, or she needs new abilities, needs a rework or anything like that. It's just I feel that most supports aren't in the greatest place because phase is still way better. In most instances, there are some instances where Dekker shines, but we'll go over that in a minute. Looking at her actual stats, she starts like a caster at 500 base health, ending up at 40 and 43. Health regen is same for a caster, 1.25, ending at 4.1. Same with her mana regen, starting at 280, ending up at 1232. Starts at 1.3 mana regen, which ends up at 5.1. Basic armor starts at 8 and ends up at 22, and ability armor starts at 20, ends up at 34.5. So just a standard caster. This is a very, very standard for a caster. That's what they all get. I think now they all get the same. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments down below if I am being an idiot and I am wrong. Alright, taking a look at Dekker's basic attack, which is called Energy Orb. It does 48 damage to start off with. It gains 1.6 per level, and it has a 0.3 power scaling, which, as we can expect, is the same for the rest of the casters. 48 damage isn't the greatest to start off with, but she is a support, she is a caster, so we're not really expecting much. So yeah, it's a decent looking basic attack. It sounds alright, and there's not really much to be said because she's a caster. She is a support and we don't really care about a basic attack. Alright, starting off with what I would describe as her least great ability, her worst ability, yes. Rocket boots. Dekker ignites her rocket boots that launch it high into the air, which high into the air is a bit of an overstatement because it's not really that great. It costs 50 mana flat across the board. It starts off with a 16-second cooldown, ends up at a 10-second cooldown. If we were trying to buff Dekker to maybe allow her to compete with someone like FaZe without actually nerfing FaZe, I really think that they should apply the old stat to this, which gave her allies within a certain radius when she used this a movement speed buff. It was a little bit weird because you would be in the middle of your allies, minions and heroes, and you would jump, they would not jump, and they would receive a movement speed boost along with yourself. But considering that Nabash has a speed boost as one of his standard abilities, Muriel has speed boost and slows, and FaZe has a speed boost built into her ultimate. I know Richter doesn't as well, but he's a get up in your face kind of a support. I really think that they should bring that back. It would put her in a much better place. No, it's not going to be drastic, but it would be nice nonetheless. Other than that, Rocket Boots is just a jump, nothing really much more to be said about it. Looking at the next ability, which is called Slow Bubble. Dekker creates a bubble at a target location. Enemies within the bubble are slowed. After a time, the bubble will pop itself, dealing ability damage. You can reactivate it early to pop the bubble, and it'll deal a smaller amount of damage. So if minions or the hero are about to leave it, you might as well just pop it by pressing the same button again. The ability damage starts at 25, ends up at 81.25, so nothing huge. It has a 0.5 power scaling, but we're not really going to be interested in what the power scaling is on this this little lady. The mana cost starts at 80 and ends up at 110, so it's kind of expensive for what it is, I guess. The cooldown starts at 18 seconds, ends up at 12. I don't really get why it has such high cooldowns and high, mana costs. And the movement speed slow starts at 125, ends up at 305. 305 is not bad, but the 125 at the start is really sort of not enough to really notice this as being a very, very good ability or something you should really worry about if you're on the other end of if you're on the other team. Okay, so getting to the meat of her kit, and that is Stasis Bomb. Dekker throws out a projectile that bounces along the ground, damaging any minions it passes through. The bomb will explode upon reaching maximum distance, or directly colliding with an object, terrain, or enemy hero. The explosion will deal ability damage and stun enemy heroes. So the ability damage is 75 at the start, ends up at 210, so not bad. The power scaling is 0.625. Once again, we're not really too interested in that, especially considering the two builds I'm going to show is not really focused towards power. The mana cost starts at 90, ends up at 135, yet another high cost ability. The cooldown is 14 seconds flat. The area of effect is 180 units, which is not really something you can rely on because a lot of the times it's still a little bit buggy. There are a lot of times where the stun will sort of go straight through someone, and it is quite annoying. The stun duration starts at 0.7, ends up at 1.9. 1.9 is not a bad stun at all. Normally, if you know you get a stun off, put a slow on top of them as well, force them to stay in the area for a little bit longer. It is a very good ability. It does enough damage it does enough damage and stuns for long enough to warrant the cooldown and the mana cost, so I don't mind it whatsoever. I would love for this thing not to have any bugs whatsoever, but one day that will happen, I'm sure. But yeah, it's a very, very good ability. It's a skill shot, unlike some other people's or one person's slow to root. But we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at her ultimate. Alright, so her ultimate is called Containment Fence. It's a circular energy fence that lasts for a couple of seconds, blocks enemy projectiles, but not friendly ones. Enemy heroes who touch the walls get knocked into the center of the area. Reactivating the ability will cancel the fence early. So what that means is if they are on the outside and they touch the wall, they'll be pulled inside it. If they're inside it and they try to walk out, they'll be knocked back to the center a little bit, not directly to the center. And allied heroes can shoot through it, move through it, but the enemy can't. So the mana cost starts at 140, ends up at 220, no problem with that. It seems warranted for an ultimate. The cooldown starts at 170, ends up at 90. So you've got a minute and a half cooldown on this, which is going to line up pretty well a lot of the times with your mid lane casters AoE ultimate like Howie, Gideon, and Gadget. So if you have those people on your team, that is where Dekker shines. So maybe that is where you should consider picking her over FaZe. The duration starts at 3 seconds, ends at 5 seconds. The cast range is 100, so you can't really cast it out too far. But it does take you a while to get to max level to be able to take advantage of the 90-second. But make sure if you do have a Gideon, a Howitzer, or a Gadget, like I said, that you are communicating with your team members to let them know that you have your ultimate up, because apart from that, it's, you're putting up a little mini boxing ring, so it can be extremely useful for your carry to shoot at people, for your jungler to get in there and get amongst it, but the best use, as I said, is with those AoE casters. And if you do have one on your team, you want to make sure they know that you're getting ready to ult, as that is devastating. Having a Gideon over the top while your carry is shooting in and your jungler's in there getting busy does a lot of damage, and it will, in most situations, pretty much wipe anyone that is inside it. So that's all of her abilities. Like I said, she's not in the greatest place right now. It's not any fault of her own. It's mainly because FaZe is just still such a ludicrously good pick. But nonetheless, I still love her. She is my favorite next to Narbash. Narbash is obviously my favorite, which we'll be covering next week, or in the next couple of days. But now we'll go over and we'll have a look at the Paragon deck builder with, we'll have a super quick look at a build that I posted not too long ago, which is an anti-tank deck. Just a quick look at it, and I'll link it in the description. And then we'll go and look at my staple Dekker deck. Okay, so we'll head over there now. Okay, so here we are over on the Paragon deck builder. As you can see, we've got Centurion, Shepherd's File, Hunter's Drink, and Healer Token. Nothing too special there. We have a very expensive template plate, a 9-point template plate, a cheap little Pendulum of the Lords just to get some mana regen and a little bit extra health. We have a dummy ward in a Magus ward. We have our proper ward, which is all health as a 12-point card. We have a Circlet of Health with the option to fully upgrade it. As per usual, we have a Quenching Scales, 3 lesser sparks. We have a Blink Charm just in case. I kind of find it to be a good option at certain points to be able to blink in and get an ultimate off. We have Satori Cloak for shredding armor, and we have Power Cord for applying Blight. I think Power Cord is really good on the range supports because you're able to, you're not relying on hitting abilities to apply Blight. This is probably better off for someone like Muriel for applying Blight on ability hits, so that this is a great card. Honor the Pure as a 12-point card with all health, and we have a very expensive Purity Sensor. So I've gone over this in detail in another video, which I'll link in the description. The Purity Sensor is just a card that's situational in case there is an Aurora, and if we're not using Purity Sensor, that is what this really expensive one is there for. We're not tending to expect to get this far into the build, that's why it doesn't really matter that it's so expensive. But yeah, as I said, I go over this in another video, which I'll link in the description down below. One build, however, that I have not shown in a long time is the Dekker deck. Yes, I have a Crit Bomb deck. There is a video on my channel, which I'll link in the description down below, where I talk about this and use it. I'll link any videos related to that, but I do not advocate crit on supports, so I'm not going to show you now. But then we have the Dekker deck. Okay, so the Dekker deck is my definitive support build that I use. We have the Centurion, of course, because we want the health on a support. We have a Shepherd's File and a Mender's File because they're very handy, giving yourself health while giving an ally mana, giving yourself mana while giving an ally health. We have a Healer Token because why the hell not? We have a Lord's Ward as a dummy ward. A dummy ward is a card that you pick up at the very start of the game. You go and put it down on the map, you back and sell it, and then grab your actual starting card, which is always a Circlet of Health. Now this deck does not have the option to fully upgrade the Circlet of Health. If you want that option, you can adjust this build accordingly. We have a Guardian's Ward with 3 greater healths because we want that health. We have a Silver Spear with 2 lesser heals and a little bit of damage, just because I didn't have anything else to put on it, so I thought, why the hell not? We have a Quartz Blade with a Major Strike and 2 Sparks. We have a Gift of the Rains with 2 minor sparks, 3 minor sparks, lesser sparks, minor sparks, lesser sparks. We have a Quenching Scales with 3, same again, lesser minor. Let's freaking have a look. Basic. This is completely wrong. We have a Radiant Mantle with 2 lesser healths and a health. We have an Honor the Pure with 3 healths, a Nature's Muse with 3 lesser healths, and a Purity Sensor with a beta health. Is that a beta or an alpha? I don't know. I don't care. But yeah, this is, once again, it's going to be a situational card. If you're not putting that on, that would be replaced with a Quartz Blade. Okay, so I believe I've not actually used this in a little while. But if we were using the Purity Sensor, we would have Purity Sensor, we would have Nature's Muse, we would have Quenching Scales, and we would, Purity Sensor is replaced by Honor the Pure. So that is our ward next. And then I believe we have Quartz Blade. And then Radiant Mantle. So that is our full build. 36 extra power, 1620 extra health, 90 extra mana, 3 extra mana regen. It's a decent build. It allows you to heal, it allows you to do damage in team fights, it allows you a lot of mana regen so you can spam those abilities, a lot of health, the ability to remove debuffs, and Nature's Muse, which I do not see used quite enough. It's such an amazing card. Taking 5 seconds off your allies' cooldowns, if used at the correct spot in a team fight when a bunch of your allies actually spam an ability, it is disgusting. Having this on someone like Morogesh, who marks and then hives and then uses Nature's Muse and then instantly marks again, and then has a hive up pretty quick. Like, it's disgusting. It's a beautiful card, but it is made all the better by having a team to actually use it with. Okay, so if we're not using Purity Sensor, we have the option to have Honor the Pure, which makes this just so much stronger. 99% of the time, this is the way you're going to be using it, because you're probably not going to have an Aurora. But yeah, it ends up with 36 power. You end up with an extra 1740 health, which would be, wow, 3184 health. I just had to do math in my head, and I'm not feeling well. It didn't work good. You have 1322 max mana, and you have 8.1 mana regen, so you've got a good amount of mana regen. You could easily, if you wanted to, actually get rid of the Greater Strike and put some more mana regen in there. I think this is enough personally, and it works really well. So as you can see, the Gift of the Rains, the Silver Spear, Circlet of Health, Lord's Ward, early game cards that you get rid of, and this is your full build. The link to this build and my anti-tank deck and the crit bomb deck will be in the description down below. I will link to the video that has the anti-tank deck in it, which has a little bit of gameplay, and I run over it over here on the Paragon deck builder in more detail, and I'll link any videos I can find using the crit bomb build. But that is it for today, guys. Dekker is an amazing hero. She's not, as I said, full meta right now because of phase, but she needs some playtime because she's amazing, especially when you have those AoE casters in mid. But as I said, that's it for today, guys. If you have any questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate to leave them in the comment section down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Don't expect me to get back straight away if you post a question right after this video is released, because I tend to go to sleep after these videos actually go live. If you enjoyed this video in any way, shape, or form, please smash the like button and subscribe if you're not already, guys. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.